Alright, you want about that much at the end. I kind of put both hands in there and square the bottom of it up. There. Alright. We're going to grab one of these bags of spawn, and I've already taken the outside of this bag and wiped it down with alcohol to clean it up because it's been sitting upstairs. And we're going to evenly spread it out over 1/2 of the straw on the table. Do it again with another bag. You always want to make sure too that you're pouring it side to side, otherwise you're going to kick a lot of grain off the table. Alright, we're going to take some more rubbing alcohol. I've already actually alcoholed my hands up once when I prepared that tubing. I'm going to wipe it all the way up to your elbows and roll your sleeves back. Now the first layer of straw, we don't want as much grain into it because some of that grain is going to settle towards the bottom and kind of just sit against the plastic. You want to avoid as much as possible bunches of grain sitting against the plastic because it can cause problems later where the mycelium doesn't colonize it well and mold takes over. So we're going to grab mostly straw here and a little bit of grain. Put the pile with the grain on top of the straw and kind of take your fingers and work it in there using your fingers kind of like a little blender thing. Churning it up. And you don't want to do it too much at the start because it'll just help facilitate the grain coming to the bottom. We're going to kind of roll it around and use your fist to punch it into the corners of the bag to make sure it's completely expanded. You can see there's a fold right there. Separate it out. Shift everything over. And once you see that there's no plastic showing, then you can really put some loads in. Grab as much as you can with one hand. Straw on the bottom, the grain on the top. And you're going to carefully plop it in there. Raise it back up a little straight, and again, turn around, churning it up with your hand. And rack it up. Now, you're going to keep on doing this. If you see any lumps like this, you're going to break that up. If your hand gets tired, squish it up. I try to use both equally. Always want to make sure too that you hose down your crates or whatever else you're using as a stand. I like the crates because, as you see, we're going to pack it to certain levels where right about this height is the best for your back and working. So as the log gets longer, we'll kick out one of the crates so it's still about the same height. Now, see we have some grain left on the table. We're going to grab that up and dump it on top of the straw. Mix it up. You see this moves along pretty quick. I mean, really, mushroom growing isn't too hard of work. It's just hard to figure out how to make a mushroom. Isn't that the secret to everything, isn't it? Well, I'm going to show you how to make it easy. So you and your family can turn a profit doing something you love. That's good for you. Plenty of exercise. You're always in a clean work environment. Now you see I've gotten up to about belly button high, so I'm going to go ahead and kick one of the crates out from underneath it. Another thing too, when you're packing these, you don't want to pull so hard up on the side that your fingers bust through and stretch the plastic out. You'll find the best technique as you go. It just takes practice. You might even have a better technique than I do. Now, one thing I actually might do differently here in the future, that I've done before in the past, is use a cement mixer. Instead of putting the straw spread out on the table and dumping the grain evenly on it and then mixing it up with my hand, well, you can put in a certain amount of straw into the mixer and a certain amount of grain and mix it up, and it'll be perfectly dispersed. And really it works well that way because you never end up with big lumps of grain on the side that mold might grab. And you don't have to mix it, you just throw it in, pack it, you know, it's pretty quick. Especially if you have one person doing the mixing and one person doing the packing. If the log looks like it's starting to fall one direction, go ahead and rotate it so it at least falls towards the table. You can even shimmy it up so it's against the table. If you do get a patch of grain on the side of it, you just want to take your hand and turn it to the inside and spread it out with your fingers. Get some of this loose up. And you see I'm still spilling some on the floor. It don't matter. You're not going to lose much. It will all go out to the compost pile once I sweep it up. You may notice too that some of the straw is kind of dry on top. That's alright because, you know, it's been sitting down here cooling off. As long as it mixes up, that straw actually still has an adequate bit of moisture in it. Now I like to, at the top of the log, to get all the majority of straw bits, put it in there, and then kind of use a little bit of a small pile of the grain, and then lightly twist it in the top. That way, you want to do it enough that none of the grain is actually exposed on the top, but enough that it's just going to settle beneath, that it doesn't have far to grow from to colonize everything. Alright, pack it around. Pull the rest of this plastic up. See, we got quite a bit of excess. We actually could have even used less. We'll grab one of our cable ties. And scrunch it down. And what you're going to do is you're going to press in this way and this way, twist it, press in the same directions again, twist it, and keep doing that, twisting it down and pressing the sides in. That's going to compact it down. You can hear the air getting squeezed out the bottom. Alright, once it's nice and tight, not a lot of anything, pulled apart from itself, so that way the mycelium will have an easy time crossing any small gaps and colonizing all that straw. We're going to hold the twist, put the cable tie underneath, and secure it tightly. Alright, now you can choose to keep on making logs and set this aside, but we're going to go ahead and poke holes in this one. So we'll wipe off all this excess material. We're going to cut the excess plastic off. You see here I have a hunting arrowhead, has 3 blades, and I have a pair of vice grips. I'm going to use the vice grips to hold onto the arrowhead. Adjust a little bit. You want to hold on them nice and tight. We're going to give it a hard rinse, clean off any of this old straw on it. And we're going to add some alcohol to sanitize it. A bit here too. Alright, kind of wave it back and forth to get the alcohol dried off of it. Now what this is going to do, you're going to hold it like this with 2 fingers, and you're going to act like a woodpecker to make these holes. And one hand on the log, of course if you're right-handed, you're doing this with the right hand. And you're going to push in and pull straight out, like that. And see how that makes a perfect 3-way cut. You'll see also it pulls out some grain and straw, that's no problem. And you want to make the holes no farther apart than 1 inch, 1.5 inches. So for this about 2.5 foot log, it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or so holes down it. And then the next row